Do you ever feel like you're training very hard and you're consistent and you're showing up every day in the gym, yet you're still not making the progress that you want to make? You're not, building muscle as much, at least, as you want to be building. Well, I can tell you, there's a lot of people that feel that way. Obviously, the most important thing when it comes to going to the gym and building muscle is actually being consistent and showing up. But even if you're consistent and you show up every day, there's still a few things that you can be doing or that you're not doing that can keep you from building muscle. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about 3 common gym mistakes that are basically keeping you skinny and how you can fix them. Okay, so first off, we have ego lifting. Okay, so what is ego lifting? I believe most of you know what ego lifting is, but basically that's when you're using a weight that's way too heavy for you and how strong you are, okay? And that's simply because of your ego. That's why it's called ego lifting. So a lot of gym newbies and even people that's been training for very long ego lift simply because they want to impress the people around them, and that's where their biggest mistake lies, okay? You shouldn't go to the gym to impress other people. Obviously, if you're strong and you can lift heavy weights, then that's a nice byproduct of, training hard and being consistent over the years. Then you can technically impress other people, but that shouldn't be your main goal when you go to the gym, okay? And at the end of the day, if you ego lift, you're not fooling anyone, okay? Everyone's just really laughing at you in the inside or on the inside because they know that that weight is way too heavy for you and you're just doing it because you want to impress them, which you're not doing. Okay, so ego lifting stunts your growth because of a few reasons actually. So one of the main reasons would be you're not getting the best contraction on your muscle. Now obviously ego lifting is quite a wide range, or there's a wide range of things that you can do that counts as ego lifting. But usually the reason ego lifting stunts your growth is because you're not getting a good contraction on your muscles. And a lot of times you're not even working the right muscles. And also you're not doing enough reps, right? So let's say you're ego lifting on bicep curls. A lot of times you'd use your shoulders and momentum to get that weight up. And also you're not going to focus on your negative. You're not going to let that weight down slowly. So your time under tension on your muscle is significantly decreased, and also you're just not getting a good contraction on that muscle because you're just swinging that weight and you're using a bunch of other muscles to get that weight up. And also you're probably not going to be able to do enough reps, maybe like 3 or 4. Okay, so obviously ego lifting looks different on different exercises, but the gist of it is you're not lifting that weight correctly, so you're not getting a good contraction on the muscle, not as good as you should be getting. And also most of the times you're not going to get that negative in, so basically when you go down, so your time under tension will also be a lot lower, which is just overall not good for muscle hypertrophy or muscle growth. Okay, so luckily this one is very simple to fix. Just leave the ego at the door and train with weights that you can actually lift properly. Okay, sometimes people ego lift and they know that the weight's actually too heavy for them. Sometimes people aren't aware of the fact that they're not doing the exercise correctly. But most of the times you would know that this is too heavy for you, but it's just your ego that pushes you to use this weight. Make sure you do the exercise correctly. Start with a very light weight. Look at how the exercise should look, and then you go up in weight until you realize, okay, now I'm not going to be able to do the rep or the exercise properly. Okay, so that's how you solve ego lifting. Very simple. Just start using lighter weights and make sure you get at least 6 to 12 reps in, generally, obviously, depending on your specific goal, but anywhere between 6 to 12 reps, and make sure your form looks good and you get a good negative on each of your reps. Okay, so that's ego lifting. Next up, we have not resting long enough between your sets. Okay, so A lot of people rush their sets for a few reasons. Actually, sometimes people try to get as many exercises in as possible, so they don't really rest. They want to get a lot of exercises done in just 1 hour or so they don't really rest between their sets so they can fit in that high volume. And some people believe that you get more muscle growth, or that your muscles grow more when you don't rest at all or not long. Okay, so that's actually not true. The funny thing is, people think that the more tired your muscle feels, or the more tired your muscle gets, the more it's going to grow. And while that can be true in some aspects and in some ways, you're not going to get the maximum muscle growth if you do a set, wait like 15 seconds while you're still very tired, and then you go again, simply because you think if you're so tired, you're going to get more muscle gains. Okay, so you have to rest long enough. Obviously, if your goal is something else than growing muscles and building muscle, then resting between your sets could be different for that specific goal. I'm not going to get into that right now. But if you want to maximize your muscle gains, it's very important that you rest long enough between your sets and actually give your muscles time to recover, so you can go and do a heavy set again without, losing a lot of your strength and dropping your performance. Okay, so it is very easy to fix this one as well. It's just rest more. So there isn't really a very specific answer for you should rest 2 minutes or 3 minutes for this, but generally you can work off a rule of thumb that says whenever you feel ready to go again. Okay, obviously it's natural that throughout your workout you're going to get tired and your muscles will start to get a bit weaker, but generally just feel yourself out. It's kind of like you're going to feel when you're in the gym. Just give yourself some time, and when you feel ready to go again and you have relatively the same amount of strength on your second set or your third set, then you've rested long enough. Okay, for me personally, I've found that anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes is usually a good amount of time to rest. Obviously, depending on the exercise, if you're doing very heavy squats, then you're going to rest maybe even longer than that. Where if you're doing bicep curls, then you're probably going to rest 3 minutes or even a bit shorter. Okay, so just make sure you rest long enough. Don't feel bad. I know in the beginning I also trained like this. I did a very high volume of exercises, but I didn't rest long enough between my sets, and that stunted my muscle growth, because after 10 minutes I'm already so tired because I'm constantly training. But if you rest longer, you kind of feel like you're slacking, right? Because you're just sitting there for like 3 or 4 minutes not doing anything. But that's how you train if you really want to build strength and build muscle. Okay, and then the last thing, or the third thing, is not relaxing enough, which is really recovery. Okay, so for your muscles to grow and for you to get the maximum amount of muscle hypertrophy, you have to recover properly. So for those of you who don't know, basically how muscle growth works is when you go to the gym, you make small tears in your muscles, and when you're done, those tears heal, and then every time they heal, you gain muscle in a simple sense. Okay, that's how it works. Obviously, you can get a lot more scientific with this, but your muscles actually grow and recover after your workout. So if you don't give yourself proper rest or recovery, you're not going to get the maximum amount of muscle growth. And this is super, super important. You can't think, it's almost like the resting between sets. You can't think that you only build muscle when you're inside of the gym. You actually build muscle when you're outside of the gym and you're relaxing. Okay, so the longest form or the most intense form of recovery or relaxation is sleep. So sleep is super, super important when it comes to building muscle. If you don't sleep enough and you don't have good sleep, you're really going to slow your muscle growth. And that's really true. It's not some random fact that someone decided is true. It's proven. Okay, that's one of the best ways you can increase your muscle growth, is by just getting your sleep right. You can't be sleeping 5, 6 hours, feel tired every morning and expect that you're going to get good muscle growth. Actually, pro bodybuilders that really want to build muscle, they spend their time going to the gym, and when they're done, they relax and they get enough sleep. Okay, so obviously it's not just sleep that counts as recovery, also other forms of relaxation. Mentally and physically, it's important that you relax enough if you want to maximize your muscle gains. Okay, but the most important thing would be sleep, because if you get a good night's rest every single night, that's going to make up for a lot of other things like stress, or if you're just very active throughout the day. Okay, so those are the 3 things that I wanted to talk about that can really stunt your muscle growth. I'm confident that if you start applying these in your workout and in your day, you're going to see more muscle gains. Now, obviously, there's other things that can also stunt your muscle growth. If you're already doing all 3 of these things, or making sure that you're not making these mistakes, but you still feel like you're not making any progress and you're not building muscle, leave a comment down below. I'll answer it, or I'll try my best to answer it, and give you some advice on how you can build more muscle. Now, I do have a community for men who want to get jacked. It's completely free. It's on Skool. I've got a 4 to 5 hour course. It has around 4 to 5 hours of content on how to get in the gym and actually get jacked. There's a community, as I said, of other men who want to get jacked. And then we have live mindset and Q&A calls as well. So if you want to check that out, you can check the link in the description. As I said, it's completely free. I just want to help you guys and provide as much value as I can and basically gain your trust. So feel free to check that out. You've got nothing to lose. Also, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.